The next one is from CNBC, and it's how the cost of home buying and selling will change after landmark court loss over real estate commissions. The recent $1.8 billion jury verdict against the National Association of Realtors and several top brokerage firms highlights mounting legal and marketing pressures on real estate commissions. So a recent analysis report estimated that the $100 billion paid in real estate commissions actually could be cut by 30%, with as many as 1.6 million agents losing their source of income. So quick math, going from $100 billion down to $700 million is 30% is a huge haircut. $700 million is still a lot of money. So there's still clearly going to be a lot of money circulating in the system. Yeah. Is this a case to be made for seeing an increase of double-ending deals?
Of course.
Yes, maybe. Yes. Okay.
Well, okay. The argument I make is if you're the listing agent and right now the consumers know that, hey, 6%, oh my God, they're charging 6%, they're making all this money. But now if you're the listing agent and you just flip the script and say, freak it, I'm just going to do a 4% for this listing. And then the buyer's agent could get a 2 and I could get a 2, or they could get a 1 and I could get a 3, whatever you want to do it. But I think if the listing agents get smart enough, then they could kind of pivot. But at the same time, it goes back to know your value, know what you're worth. And if you're 6% and you could back that up, stick to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that in that case, even they might even reduce it by some. It could be 5. And again, they keep throwing this 6% number like it's some average. It's not.
You choose.
Average. The average is actually less than 6%.
Yeah, it's been 5% for a long time.
And then they say each side gets 3%. I'm like, no.
That's not how it goes either. No, there's 4 and 2. There's 3.5 and 1.5 and a 5 deal. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. But you know, the thing is that, you know, in this conversation, this will ultimately end up costing people more. Mm-hmm. You know, we recently had a conversation with someone who works in real estate law, and one of the points that he made in the conversation that we had with him was that the more these things continue, and it was an unrelated topic, by the way.
It was.
But he was saying that the more that the laws change and the rules and the allowance for certain lawsuits change, it ends up making things more expensive for the consumer. And it just reroutes money from a place it was going to a new place.
Correct.
And it's really hard in this situation to see that it would be any different.
And he also said, who takes most advantage of this?
The lawyers. Oh, wait.
No.
Businesses and corporations. And he said that, unfortunately, in the situation he was talking about, unrelated to agent commissions, but related to real estate, still was this, is that there are people who are unscrupulous that swoop in and take advantage of the situation. Oh, I'm so sorry. There aren't buyer's agents anymore. I'm an attorney. I'll represent you for 3%. Yeah. Just have the seller go ahead and write it in the contract, and then in escrow, they can pay me afterwards. Yeah. So here's the deal. Whether you call it a realtor or you have a real estate attorney do the transaction, buyers, for the most part, are probably going to end up paying for this. Yeah. It's hard to see that it will be any other way.
No, buyers, wait a minute. The consumer, the buyers, the sellers, they're all paying for this.
Yeah,
they're all paying for this.
You're right.
Who's going to take advantage of all of this stuff that's loving this, all the fintech? They're like loving this.
Yeah, Redfin, Zillow.
You know, BlackRock, that they're already saying that they're going to be, you know, taking possession of most of the properties by 62%. Yeah. Like, this is just crazy, guys.
Well, think about it. Let's say I want to go buy $1 million place right now, and I'm like, hey, I don't need agency. I automatically want, that's 3%. I don't need to represent me. That's a $30,000 haircut for them already. Fine. I'm not going to offer you $1 million. Give me $970 because I don't need the commission baked in.
Yeah, exactly.
There's leverage in that.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they're talking about affordability, but then you have to make 60+% more income. And then on top of that, maybe forecast 2 to 3%. How is this helping anybody get more affordability?
I tell you what, guys, I'm gonna circle here. Jury, you know, a recent jury verdict against the National Association of Realtors and large residential brokerages could upend residential real estate industry. A jury. We relied on a jury. So, let's say the jury was made up of entrepreneurs. Do you think something like this would have happened?
Well, probably not. And also, I would argue that let's go ahead and get a jury together for the commissions paid on watches and on cars and on shoes and
lawyers on court cases like these that taking 30%, which is $800 million.
Isn't that a funny point?
What?
I was like,
and then he's back for more after. You just filed more lawsuits?
This video, Brian,
more commission,
us,
please.
And it's the agent is on CNBC arguing with the host about agent commissions when he just got a 30% payday commission on the settlement. So he's completely unaware, no self-awareness at all, going that agents are the problem. This fool made 30%.
You guys can't have 6 because I need 30.
He pronounces realtor.
Realtor.
He's a relator. A realtor.
Going back to what you said about a jury, so for those that follow the economy, the SBF FXT case just happened not too long ago, right? And the jury that they chose was just made the day before. One of the things that I caught in the commentary I was watching as they were unpacking it was that the jury had no idea what the numbers meant when they broke down everything, this number, this billion, this nothing. But the one thing that did catch the jury's attention was the emotion in the defendants and the way that they were saying certain things. That's what basically helped them make up their mind, because they're like, the numbers did not make sense at all. But as soon as emotion played in, the jury was like, oh, we know who's guilty. Oh, we know who's doing it. Oh, we know. Okay, we kind of all make sense. But they themselves said the numbers didn't make any sense. There you go again with this. I'm going to go ahead and compare it and say, okay, the jury probably went off the emotions of the homeowners, this and that. So therefore, made it a lot easier to make a decision based off emotions rather than data and logic.
So I think a couple things are going to happen here. We are literally facing the law of unintended consequences. I think that because of the result of this lawsuit, there will be some consequences that aren't being looked at far enough downstream. Some of them is going to be maybe loss of representation for buyers or rerouting of commissions to someone else that buyers are going to compensate or sellers going to compensate one way or another. Yeah. I think we are going to see a little bit more double-ending deals, which means only one agent is going to stand in between the buyers and the sellers. That is always difficult, traditionally difficult, maybe less expensive in some cases. But I also know that what is coming is that the fintech companies are going to make their move. This is their opening that they needed to make their move. So you have Glenn Kelman, the CEO of the tech-led real estate brokerage Redfin, saying this. In the weeks leading up to the verdict, the National Association of Realtors already updated its guidelines to let agents list homes for sale that don't offer a commission to the buyer's agent. Traditional brokers will undoubtedly now train their agents to welcome conversations about fees. This is as it should be. Yeah. Stated by someone who is not operating a brokerage with a brokerage with
hey, you're like
agents.
The other attorney.
Yeah, realtor. So of course he says this.
But that's what kind of is unfortunate, the fact that the people that are in the industry, the people that do this day in, day out, that have been here for years, that know how it actually works, it takes somebody from an outside industry to say, hey, you guys are doing it wrong, but they themselves have never operated within our industry to know how things work. It's like if we go over to the attorneys industry and say, hey, yo, you guys can't make 30% of the of the settlements because like what the heck, the people, the defendants are what the heck.
It's going back in the years ago when the Bank of America, the Wells Fargo, they were trying to get rid of us loan officers because we're a thorn. Believe it or not, since we're out there in the trenches and we're part of the community, we have the tendency of building a stronger relationship.
That's right.
Where banks don't have that. And the consumers are more like, oh, it's a bank. If I don't have a suit, I'm going to go in front of a suit and tie. I just kind of like, and it goes with the whole emotion like you talked about with the juries, And so in this case, realtors are a thorn to a lot of, and if you look at the losses that, Zillow took in 21, 22, you're starting to look at all this. How are they looking to replenish those losses? Yeah, this is a perfect opportunity for them.
It's a perfect
and
storm.
That's why, earlier I mentioned there's some in favor and there's some against it. I'm against it. You already know who's in favor. Yeah. And that's going to be the big corporations, the big fintechs, because they're going to make sure they continue to take advantage of the consumer.
Who are they going to go see all the houses if they don't have a buyer's agent?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to make up some solution.
But
and again, this is my opinion, but that's why there's being, I know I'm going to go way in a different way, right? But there's robots being made and all that. Maybe they're going to show the homes.
But they're not going to make. Yeah, they're not going to restrict.
Alexa's going to open the door.
They're going to allow access. It's who's going to negotiate on your behalf. Who knows what's actually going on in the neighborhood? Who actually knows the home you're looking at?
The listing agent.
Who knows what to point out and look at for the buyer side though? To represent the buyer's best agent. I know. The listing agent. Yeah. Everyone go blind homes. I think ultimately when this is going to be, when the dust all settles, we're going to see less choices. Yeah. You're going to see less choices for consumers. You're going to see like more consolidation of power. That always happens. There's always, when a bank fails, guess what? Some of the bank absorbs them, but the government basically funds it. Someone else, they can buy it. And I think you're just going to see that there's going to be more cost and less choices.
Yeah. Yep. And Andy, here, I don't mean to sound negative with everything that's going on. This is just the facts of stuff that's going on. When it becomes effective, we don't know that. I'm just glad that it's getting appealed, that hopefully it could delay all these things. But this is what's really happening out there right now. Yeah. It just almost feels like we're no longer in control of anything.
No, there's more regulation coming, guys. I mean, well, this is a huge regulation. It's going to take years to go down the pipe and actually hit us for what we have to change. But the fact that NAR is already changing their terminology and saying these things already is, it's almost like them just rolling over and going, oh yeah, we're going to have this countersuit, but also change the language now. Okay, come on.
The first thing that you said right now, you roll over. I feel like a puppy, like, oh, and
yeah,
they just rub your belly. So they'll tell you what you want to hear a little bit,
God.
like, oh, it's gonna be good. It's like everybody just comes down and we wag our toe, and then it's over. You know, it's like, oh,
that's what they want us to do, roll over.
Exactly.
Yeah.